When you think of the world's oldest universities, you think of Oxford, Cambridge, Bologna. But long before them, there was another, a golden city in the heart of the Sahara that held 25,000 students while Europe was still stumbling through the dark ages. Timbuktu. It wasn't just a city of gold. It was the intellectual capital of the human race. And this is the story they refuse to teach you. While Europe was stumbling out of the dark ages, Timbuktu was experiencing a golden age of learning. The University of Sankore, founded in the early 1300s. At its peak, 25,000 students studied there. Let me repeat that. 25,000 students in the 1400s in Africa. They came from across the Islamic world. Morocco, Egypt, Persia, even from as far as China. They studied mathematics, astronomy, medicine, law, philosophy, chemistry. The curriculum was as advanced as anything in Europe. In many ways, more advanced. Islamic scholars brought knowledge from across the Muslim world. African scholars contributed their own discoveries and innovations. And it all converged in Timbuktu. The city wasn't just wealthy because of gold. It was wealthy because of knowledge. Here's what most people don't know. Timbuktu wasn't just about oral teaching. It was about books. Hundreds of thousands of manuscripts were created, copied, and stored in Timbuktu. We're talking about original works on astronomy that calculated the movements of planets, medical texts that described surgical procedures centuries before Europe, mathematical treatises that used advanced algebra, legal documents that show sophisticated governance system, poetry, history, philosophy, science, all written down, all preserved. Today, over 300,000 of these manuscripts still exist. Some are in museums, some are in private family collections. Many were hidden during French colonization to protect them from being destroyed or stolen. One manuscript showed calculations of the Earth's circumference that were remarkably accurate. Another described eye surgery techniques from the 1400s. These weren't primitive texts. These were advanced academic works. But here's the tragedy. When European colonizers arrived, they found these manuscripts and they refused to believe Africans wrote them. They claimed Arabs must have written them, or that they were copies of European texts. Anything to avoid admitting that Black Africans had built one of the world's great centers of learning. Let me tell you about one scholar, Ahmed Baba, born in Timbuktu in 1556. By age 20, he'd already written his first major work on Islamic law. Over his lifetime, he wrote more than 40 books on law, on astronomy, on biography, on theology. His personal library contained over 1,600 books. 1,600 books. In the 1500s, in his personal library. For context, most European universities at the time had maybe a few hundred books total. Ahmed Baba was so respected that scholars traveled months across the Sahara just to study with him. But when Morocco invaded Mali in 1591, they captured Ahmed Baba. They took him to Marrakech, held him captive for years. Why? Because they wanted his knowledge. Even his captors recognized he was one of the greatest scholars alive. And Ahmed Baba was just one of hundreds of renowned scholars in Timbuktu. The city produced generations of intellectuals who shaped Islamic and African thought for centuries. So what happened? In 1591, Morocco invaded. The Songhai Empire, which protected Timbuktu, fell. The city was looted. Scholars were killed or scattered. Then came European colonization. The French took control of the region in the late 1800s. They saw the manuscripts. They took some, they destroyed others. They couldn't reconcile their racist beliefs with the evidence in front of them. How could Africans have built this? So they minimized it, ignored it, erased it from history books. By the time the world started paying attention again, Timbuktu was a shadow of what it had been. But the manuscripts survived, hidden in basements, in family collections, in secret libraries, preserved by families who knew their value even when the world didn't. The manuscripts of Timbuktu survived because families chose legacy over safety. They protected our history when the world tried to erase it. Now it's our turn to keep that flame alive. Join the 32 legends in our tribe by subscribing and turning on notifications. Let's make sure these stories are never hidden again.